Hello everybody, and welcome back to today's One Punch Man the Strongest video. Today I'm going and doing a beginner / returning player guide for people who are returning or are new to the game. Now let's get right into it. First off is that you should always join into the newest server that comes out into the game. Now, to join a new server, you go to select server and you choose the recommended server. Now, this does change depending on new servers releasing, and a new server is released when the old server is full. So we don't really know when a new server will be released. However, in a version like Southeast Asia, they do come out every Saturday. Now, while you're in the game, you should always finish your quests. This will give you rewards along with EXP, which you will use to level up your account, and is very vital to keeping up with other players. Next up is the club. Now, you should always join a very active club, or at least be in one, so that you can get the rewards. For example, the info here, which this is the rewards, does give you coins, gems, some qualification, and an SSR Omni chest because of the club level. However, not all of them are like this. You also can get mutual aid, which you can request character shards, or you can give them to other players. Next up is the club quests. However, these can be done basically automatically, as if you're doing your quests every day, you should just be able to hit accept and complete. On most of them, at least. Next up in the club is the club boss. Now, you need this to get gears such as Primal, Suit, or Knight. These all have their own specific bonuses and do sometimes do better than some other gears. Now, you start off on Carnage Kabuto, then you move on to these other bosses. And soon, sometime in the future, there will be an Awakening Boros boss. This is just a stronger version of the Boros boss and is very hard to kill. Next up is Resist Invasion, which is also in the club. Now, this also gives very specific types of gear, along as Flash, Gunner, and Magic. It also can give you buff gears, which I will go over later. Now, there will be a new boss sometime soon, that is Bakuzan Plus, and which is easier than the Garo boss, so keep that in mind. Finally, for club, there is the club contest. This is a war-ish / Clash of Clans, I think, type version, where you press enter the battle after configuring your team, and you attack these towers until you reach the very end, and then you defeat this, and whoever has the most materials by the end wins. Finally, there is this version of club contest, which is kind of bad. Like, it gives some gems, which is very nice, but it will probably be removed soon. So, I guess stay tuned for that. Now, when you're starting out the game, the first thing you're going to want to be buying is Stamina and Vitality. These are very important for doing certain modes and for upgrading your characters. So Stamina, I would recommend, if you are under level 40, to buy the free one, 25, 25, 50, 50, 90, and then 90 if you really want to stay in touch, or at least keep up with the whale players. Now, Vitality, you can choose how much you want to buy of this. However, I personally buy 35 and the 65 packs. Another thing to buy with gems is black tickets. You get 36 every banner, and there is 2 banners per month, which equals 72 per month. Now, keep this in mind, they are very important, and you should not be spending them unless you have a very specific amount that I will go over in just a moment. The final thing to buy with gems, at least in the shop that I think of, is these keepsake vouchers. They are 1,800 gems in the shop, and they are a third of all the keepsake vouchers that you will get in a month, which is not a lot. Next up is Boss Challenge. This is so that you can challenge very specific bosses, well, at least not very specific bosses, to get these badges, so that you can limit break your characters. To limit break a character, first you need their shards. Second of all, you need these badges. Now, I already did my chances for today, but you can usually press quick clear, and it will sweep all of these for you, at least when you are a certain level or above. Another very interesting material is evolution materials. These are a little hard to get, however, they do upgrade your character quite a bit, and as it says here, significantly boosts stats. And not finally, but another way to increase your character's strength is the skill training. This you can use as you can pay coins, and you can get a certain amount of these skill points, which you can use to upgrade your characters to a higher state, which is upgraded using these materials here. Now, there's also Awakening. Now, this is a very interesting mode and has its own mode dedicated to it that I'll show you now. This is the Awakening trial. You start out at floor 1 and you clear these to get hero core powers or villain core powers, which you also get these two depending on the mode. These unlock every other one, two unlock every day, and I believe it's these two and these two. And then on Sundays, these all open and you can do all of them. Now finally, there is the character talent. Now this is gained through the talent trial. The talent trial has two modes, villain and hero trial, which you can use these certain materials that are in your bag, depending on if you get them, to sweep, and you can get some of these coins. Now, these coins can be used to upgrade these special things, like here, you can use 300 to increase the level of this. However, I'm not quite there yet. Another thing you can unlock in talents is these sigils. Now, you can use a certain amount of star sigil cards, which are very important material, and I will get to later, to unlock these, and they can give you stats. Like this sword sigil, which increases your attack primarily, the bastion sigil, which decreases the chance of receiving a critical hit, a vitality sigil, which gives you more HP, and a piercing sigil, which decreases the chance of your attack being blocked. Now these are just some examples, and not all of the sigils, as you can see here. Another thing to note when you are sweeping for badges or evolution materials is the world level / double bonus. Now this is important and is based off of how much stamina you spent yesterday. Now it will give you a bonus on how much badges or evolution materials, which is double. Now vitality is very important and is used for things like the epic, which is used for things like Conquerors challenge, the talent trial, unnatural disaster, and I believe that is all. Now, as you level up, you will unlock these certain modes, being Nightmare and Epic. And Nightmare is the introduction of buff gears, while Epic is the introduction of Refinement and red gears. Now, Refinement can give you certain things, but however, the most important thing is the Refinement cards. These are used for upgrading your gears, and I will demonstrate them a little later. However, this also gives you red gears, or red gear sketches, which can be used to make your gear even stronger. Now, I was talking about black tickets and how you needed 180 of them. Now, this is why. The Awakening Recruitment can give you materials so that you can get an SSR plus character. Now, the reason you need 180 is because of this. Now, to understand this, you need to have a certain amount of tickets, and you need to spend a certain amount of tickets to get certain rewards. Now, the reason why you should only pull with 180 is because 180 is when you are guaranteed an Awakening Stone. You get 3 evolution stones through this. However, you are very likely to get a 4th one through the recruitment spending of the black tickets. Another thing that you should know of is the keepsake pulls. These are used so that you can get, a keepsake. So you should generally only pull if you have 70 or higher, as having less than that makes it so that is basically impossible to get a character's keepsake. So always pull with 70. If you don't pull with 70, then you are just wasting your tickets. Another and very important recruitment is the purple / excellent recruitment. Now, these are very important because you can get previous LSSR characters. However, I would recommend to save them for SSR Plus characters that will be added to this wish list in the future, which you can get their Awakening Stones. Now, when you're starting off in the game, you always want to recruit on Heroic at least 5 times for 10 recruitments. This is so that you can get an SSR character, and so that you can make sure that you are at least doing decent damage in the PvE / PvP game modes. Another thing to pull on is the Superb Recruitment, or also known as yellow ticket pulls. Now, these are giving you a much lower chance to pull the characters you want. However, it is very important to at least try and pull on it so you can get possibly an SSR. Now, on to gear and star sigil cards. Now, gear is very important as it increases your character's stats depending on the type of gear. And I think it is good to note that you should always dismantle defense gears. Now, I don't have any on me. However, a defense gear is completely worthless as defense does nothing. It does not really do anything. So keep that in mind. Always dismantle your defense gears. So with gears, you can upgrade them. As an example, here on my red mosquito girl, you can use these plus coins and upgrade the gear and increase the base amount of stat. As an example, 599 to 6150. Now, when you're trying to upgrade a red gear, what you'd always do is make sure that you have enough of both of these. Now, I do not have enough of both of them. However, I will probably get enough later on, and you should always remember that. Next up is using Star Ascension cards. Now, this is very important because Star Ascension cards are probably the most important material in the game and will make your stats incredibly high compared to without them. Now, it costs 2 to get a 1 star, 4 to get a 2nd star, 8 to get a 3rd star, 16 to get a 4th, and 24 to get a 5th. Now, generally, you should only go to 4-star if you are free to play or do not have very many Star Ascension cards, and you should never really go higher unless you really want to or you just don't have any other characters to invest into. There is also Refinement, which uses these Refinement cards to put purple stars, which can unlock certain stats. For example, column attack boost on my Atomic Samurai's pants. This increases his, column attack boost. Now, on the topic of upgrading gear, you can also transfer stats. For example, if I wanted to transfer my faction damage reduction, I could select it, select this one, and then press transfer. However, I don't want to do that. Next up is buff gears. Now, these are upgraded through these green cards, along with these of a specific type. Hold on. There we go. So you use these ones, and these ones for their each respective buff gear. Now, you can also ascend these buff gears, which cost the same amount as gears, and also gives you a plus 5% into stats of that gear. To get Star Ascension cards, what you need to do is go to the supply depot, seen here, and pull for these. Now, you should only pull on these purple tickets when you have a rate up going, which will increase the chance of getting a Star Ascension card by a very large amount. Just remember to do so, because if you're not, then you're just wasting your purple tickets or gear material tickets. So, on to some modes that you need to be remembering to do. So there is Hero X Monster, which you can do to challenge a certain boss of a certain variety. So for example, on the hero side, I would be using my villain characters to challenge this boss. On the villain side, I use my hero characters to challenge this boss. Remember that you always need to generally have a decent character in each of these to beat these characters, and they do give a very large amount of rewards. Another thing to keep in mind is the store. Now, this is used to upgrade your character's keepsakes or also their gear if you have the Star Ascension cards for it. So remember that and keep that in mind. Next up is Extreme Training. Well, you select a boss, which I cannot currently do. Insert the character that you want. You can press change and select whatever character you want to change and get shards for. And then when you challenge, it will give you a shard sometimes of the character that you put in here. Now, this is very important as it is one of the only ways you get stars or shards outside of the Omni shards, and that takes a very long time. Finally, in this specific area, we also have Core Trial. Now, this is done as you can get core materials. You can recruit these characters and use them to fight against certain stages, all the way up to stage 15. And then you fight a boss at the very end, which, for example, you use your team to fight. And sometimes they have these quirky little features that do make the boss harder. Like, for example, direct damage he is immune to. So you can use injury type damage. Other modes to keep in mind is the Emblem Trial or Mirage Trial, which can give you materials for your emblems. Now, generally, if you want to upgrade your emblems, you want to do Distorted Field first, as it's probably the most important unless you have Garyu Core. If you don't have Garyu core, remember to do this one first, as it'll make your characters a little stronger and survive a little longer. But if you do have Garyu plus core, then remember to do Distorted Field, and then Sharp Blade, Eternal Heart, and then Undying Shield, as that is the mode I recommend. Another mode that is newer to the game is the Crescent Tower. Now you start at Area 1, and you can do this to get tactic cards. These are used to get certain bonuses on your characters that you have in these certain categories. For example, my hero characters get a 5% drain rate, or lifesteal. And for example, my villain characters get a Cruel, which is a follow-up that deals a certain amount of ultimate damage and 100% of the effect of that ultimate. Now, another important mode in this area, or another important mode, is the World Disaster, which you will go in, you will scan to get a certain amount or a certain buff, and also you will make a team to be able to fight this boss. Now, it's best to have your strongest team, and if they die, then you will have to choose a different character for the next fight, as this has 3 different stages. When you're starting off, it is important to note that you should always get into Diamond Arena as fast as possible. This is because it will give you more gems than every other arena, and gems are probably the second most important material in the entire game, so you can buy black tickets, stamina, and vitality, or also the keepsake tickets that I showed you. The best characters to use when you're starting off would likely be a My Mask due to his extremely strong single target along with his core, and Beast King, who has his follow-ups based on his passive, based on injury as well. Golden Ball is also another amazing character to use when you're starting off, as he is very good for PvP if you do not already have another AoE character. Other things to keep in mind are core characters, which will give your team a special ability that will give you either energy or a very specific buff. Child Emperor here gives you a core that will grant you 2 energy when landing a critical strike, and a 30% ultimate damage boost. A My Mask core will give you 6 energy for defeating a character once per battle, and give you your first character, Berserk. Another and very important core character is Dr. Genus, who will grant you 1 energy per turn and grants an extra point when an ally recovers HP. And whenever a front row character is killed, a clone is summoned. Up to 2 clones can be summoned per each character position. Next up is Home, which can be used for parties, which will give you gems if you join them, for example. Oh, well, Popo hasn't enabled visits, so I can't join him. You can also talk to your characters, and they will give you certain rewards for talking to them. For example, a party card, although these are rare. Requesting, which you can choose and gain a certain reward from doing so. Figurines, which will greatly increase your BP. For example, this first page gives you is for when you have Vaccine Man or any of these characters, and will give you a stat boost for getting a certain amount of stars on each character. Achievements are also important, as these do give you a decent amount of gems, where you can see how many achievements you've done and what you need to be doing. Training, which gives you a great increase to BP, as well as these 2, battle training and skill training, being completely worthless, as they give you jack all BP and don't really do much. Next up is the Lab, which you can use to upgrade your core characters, or cores. For example, Garyu Ganchub core, which you can use to go to core trial and select, say, a diagram to get a specific reward. And finally, you can see what's going on in here and your popularity on how many people have visited your home. Another PvP mode is the Honor Battle. Now, the Honor Battle does give you rewards based on your level in the Honor Battle area, and these rewards are generally pretty good, and you should buy the Star Sunshine cards, Sigil chests, Refinement cards, Refinement supply tokens, Diagram shards, and Sigils if you can. Other PvP modes include Peak Arena, which has a hero and villain area. Tournament, which also has a hero and villain area, however, it also gives you gems. Live Clash, that nobody does. Dojo Clash, that gives you rewards based on how much battles you've done. An Endless Battle Zone, which also gives you gems, and these little coins that will give you some stuff in the store, or that you can spend in the store. With these coins, you can buy these when you're early on just to get the emblem done, and then also buy these later on when you have enough coins and save them up. Finally is the Training Center. Now this is used to instantly level up your characters to a certain level, which is the average level of all your characters. To start off, you want to put your best characters in here, and then later on you want to replace them to all SSRs or SSR Plus, as they will increase your level a little bit more than a SR will. There's also skill training. The training level is based off the average skill level of all your characters, and you can level these up to make the characters in the training center have that same skill level. For example, all my characters in the training center have level 105 skills. There's also upgrades, which will increase the little star thingies, which make all of your ultimates and boosts a little bit more effective. There's also type training. Now this is used to increase speed and other stats of characters in your team. There's also the central high tech, which you can use, and this will give you a very large BP boost when you do these, or upgrade these. Next up is the Hero Backup Stick, which this is a very pay-to-win event and can give you characters from times gone by. Now this is very important, as sometimes you miss characters, and eventually it will be all SSR pluses. Now, when you disassemble a gear, you can use the blue tickets that you use to buy gears here. For example, a blue gear is 300 of them. You can refresh. However, I would recommend to save these blue tickets until level 78, so that you can get orange gears in this shop. Now, finally is the mall. Now, I will go over the shops that I forgot to while I was recording this video. I'd recommend to get these as they are the most important. However, you can also buy these if you need them, and the yellow tickets if you want them. The club shop can give you basic skill books, which I do buy, grappler skill books, and high-tech skill books, which you should buy. These three are probably the best to buy. Kinetics can give you Star Ascension cards, Duelist skill books, Esper skill books, and Crystal cores, if you do need those for your keepsakes and badges. Then finally, there is Tournament, which I'd recommend only to buy these sigil chests, as they are probably the best in the shop. Further mentions, this game is not free-to-play friendly, almost in the slightest. I honestly don't think that you should ever feel like you will compare to a whale. Just remember to not feel down if you cannot compare to them, as they are spending probably thousands to be better. Another thing to mention is that if you press the community button, then press share, then exit out, it will give you 50 gems. However, I already did this today. Anyways, I hope you guys all enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. Now, I know I haven't posted in a good little bit, and I will probably keep on with my schedule of Friday, Sunday, and Tuesday. Also, remember that I have links in my description for my Discord, along with supporting me and my Southeast Asia account. Now, I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!